You got it. Oh my goodness. Will that shut it off?
It's the same one that laughed, so it's like they're choosing this one channel, and I don't know why. It's the same guy. And risk. Not a good word. Not a good word.
Here. For those of you with cameras, you don't need to necessarily point it on me. I want basically some kind of angles, either one way or the other. Obviously, if people start cutting through, that's when you're going to do your angles.
Same angle.
How about it?
How do you turn it on?
I already did it. So we have the name Thompson that actually popped up that you heard. Did you hear anything else?
Not really. Well, no, not really. I mean, no.
Okay. Any names out of yours? When we crossed the last crosswalk over by High Cotton Restaurant, that's where the original Charlestown walls used to be. So Charleston used to be called Charlestown, the walled city. This is one of the first streets we ever had. So we don't spend a lot of time here because it is considered a quiet area. There's little signs all over the place. That's because you guys are leaned against the hotel. Somebody could be in those rooms and try not to disturb anybody. So again, I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived here. How you doing tonight, man? All right. So the names that I commonly get out of here, Benjamin and John. Every 6 to 7 weeks, those two names particularly come up. I've already had them this week, and this is week 6 and 7, like we're right in the middle of it. The interesting thing is that the name Simmons also came up along with Ben one night. Now this used to be called Simmons Alley before it was Lodge Alley. I'm going to explain why it was Lodge Alley here in a moment. But here's where things get weird. So Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. When I say people lived here, I'm not talking like dozens of little houses down here. I'm talking like 4 to 6 people at a time. So Benjamin and John living here in 1801, that's 2 out of 5 people that I hear the same names every 6 to 7 weeks. Now, if we're ever confused, because there were 4 different Johns that lived here over like a 70-year span, 4 different Johns, we'll get the last name for John, which was Johnson. John Johnson will show up. So we'll get one or the other. So again, I can't make this stuff up. I don't have any crazy happening that happened here in 1801, but I do have an explanation of why we're actually hearing the same names over and over again. You're standing on Belgian blocks. These bricks are made straight of granite. Now, you guys all seem like you're into paranormal, except for Yolanda, but you've heard the term limestone before, I'm sure. Limestone is said to be stirring things up in a paranormal activity type of sense, because it comes straight from the earth. So does granite. These bricks have been here for a couple of hundred years.
Mount Pleasant. Well, we're here.
Yeah, Mount Pleasant is just over here. So, again, these bricks have been here for a long time. They're hanging on to the consciousness and memories and playing it back for us. So every 6 to 7 weeks, I can't find an exact pattern. I can't tell you it's going to be 54 days. I can't tell you what the moon phase is supposed to be. It just keeps happening every 6 to 7 weeks. So next week, obviously, Monday, Tuesday, I'm going to start that loop over again because I've already gotten Benjamin and John this week along with Simmons. You know, so it's very interesting that I keep getting the same stuff over and over again. Every once in a while, a third name will pop up. The name is Jane. Lately, a David will show up. So far, that's 4 out of the 5 people that lived here. That's pretty good odds. Before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge down here, hence the name Lodge Alley. So again, we do get terms around the Freemasons, including the term Illuminati. Now I have to chuckle because first off, who the hell's talking about the Illuminati on the radio? And second, why am I only hearing it while I'm in this space? And it's not on any kind of loop, it's just completely random. Last year alone, I think we heard it 6 times while we were in here, the term Illuminati, and this year we've already heard it twice. So again, I keep track of this crap because again, nothing makes sense until I keep studying it. The people that lived here, they did do an archaeological dig on some of the artifacts from those people that lived here. They found tools and clothing and that kind of thing, classified these people as lower class. It makes sense because across the street on East Bay, from where we were walking, would have been the other side of the wall going down towards the battery. The smell of low tide would be coming down here quite often. So, with that said, if you've never smelled low tide, I think everybody here is from a coastal state, am I correct? So yeah, you guys smell low tide. The rich people in Charleston aren't going to put up with that. If you you've been down to the Battery, you've noticed that houses are skinny in the front and go long back. There's a couple of reasons for that. First off, you were taxed based on how much street side you took. The skinnier the house, the less taxes. Makes sense. The Pinckney Mansion sat broad. First off, they're indigo farmers and they're politicians. They have money, they don't give a shit. So they want the bragging rights to show off the house. The other reason is because it keeps the smell of low tide out. The skinny house with the piazzas on the front porches with the door on it keeps that smell from coming in. They open up the second story window to let the cool breeze come in, and it cools the whole house down because cool air drops and heat rises. So again, it's old school air conditioning. I like to at least stall here a little bit as we're just getting some recording footage, because again, this isn't a space where we can ask questions. We're waiting for something to happen among the spirit boxes, or of course some kind of anomaly going on with the cameras. No, we're good, because you're going to get stuff from the building. So if you do get a spike, it's kind of usually debunked pretty quickly. I have had some weird spikes down here.
24.
24?
And before that, I heard forefathers. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I promise I promise I clean my ears every day.
Forefathers and 24. Interesting. Oh, the name Thompson, I'm almost positive is on that word list somewhere. On the resident list. Yeah. I don't want to say it's an AC or one. It might be. But I'm going to definitely say Thompson sounds very familiar. So the next place we're actually going to go to, we're going to cut through the rest of this alley, but it is residential at the end. So once we exit, the two of you will cut off your video. That would be the circle button on the top, so that way I don't have to keep doing it for you. And then of course you've already figured yours out, but we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood and we don't record the neighborhoods. So again, you'll listen to your spirit boxes along the way, but we're going to be going to another alley. However, I can't take you through it. That's what we're doing now. Here's why. I got booted out. You guys joined the annoying group with the pesky lights and noisemakers, and it is considered residential at the end. We're allowed to tour through it halfway, but every tour in Charleston goes down there in groups of 20. It's not fair for my groups of 10 to be working around 20 to 40 people. So again, I tell the story outside of it, just because it still stirs up a lot of activity, and we're going to hear from that particular story through the remainder of the night. It's pretty much been a guarantee for the past 3 months that it just keeps going. Like last night, it just literally kept going all night long. It was crazy. Everything we heard at the last stop wasn't a pirate. It was all about the story from the alley. So again, you can always go back and look at other tours if you'd like. Oh, by the way, which I was going to tell you earlier, is your data stays on my website for an entire year. So again, I don't hide anything. If you want to go back and see a specific date, if I had a tour that night, it'll be posted, and it's all there. Sometimes I might have different links and things, the same stories I told, because something else popped up during that specific tour.
Christian.
Double names are very ironic here. So I just told you about John Johnson. There was also an Alexander. So again, double names are very weird here. Very awesome. So I say we cut through the rest of this alley and go to the next alley.
Honestly, there's more really heavy static sound here than that.
Interesting. Are you hearing anything on yours? Have you had the volume up? Okay. I figured as much. She is so excited. Do you see the excitement all over her face? So, yeah, I love being surprised. So, let's cut through the rest of this alley.
You're getting more. I don't know. It's just like almost more like
Interference.
Yeah,
So
It's
she's
not
not getting
just
the
white
reception.
noise. It's like
Yeah.
that.
So at the end of the alley, I turn it off.
Yes.
Go easy on me, baby.
Everybody see? Yeah. I'm the one with the goofy shoes on, so I can feel every brick. And this alley is the reason why I go through so many shoes. To look up to see exactly how close Antigua is to the Caribbean area, and kind of see like how relative that is. It might be relevant to all of the piratey bullshit I just told you about, but again, I know she was born in Antigua, which is a Spanish isle.
It's set in the Caribbean.
Is it?
Yeah.
So we need to write that one down. See, you thought you had a pirate term. Nope, not today.
Actually, it's not too far from, if I remember right, it's not too far from Barbados.
I want to say that that is correct because I've looked it up before. I will definitely get you guys a map to show you. It'll be in your data because I'm that guy. I want you guys to have as much as possible. I also separate everything by month. This is May 1st. Unfortunately for you, like when I give you your data back tomorrow morning, it's going to be the last set. So because I always put the new tour on top, and it keeps growing and growing. So I will show you how to download and be able to keep everything, so you don't have to keep going back to my website and scrolling through 31 different tours because there's a lot to every tour. So Lodge Alley, we're about to talk about that for a second. That is a residual ghost. So again, that is not a space where we're going to be able to ask questions. It is just a space that we're going to. It's a kind of like watching a movie on a loop, right? So we're going to be listening on a lot of things. We're going to be recording some video. We're actually going to stop your video at this point because there's no point in recording our butts as we're walking by.
Luke.
You heard Luke. Interesting. Don't let me forget to write that one down. It's close. So again, Lucas sometimes is a weird one.
My son.
I'm getting chills.
So obviously notice the blue dress signifying the indigo.
My hair's standing up.
Eliza Lamb Pinckney was the first wife. So that's from Raised in Motion, I think.
Oh yeah, mine's definitely motion.
So Lucas and Lamb were the maiden names you were listening for. Eliza Lucas married Charles Pinckney when she was 22 years old. That's why I said with 2022 it's weird because I usually wait for that number to come out by itself. So that way, the year is very easy to come by with car commercials, right? So they're going to come through all the time. It's too easy. So I usually wait for like a newscast to say he was 22 years old when he died. You know, that kind of stuff. This is where you're standing right now. This is the Pinckney Mansion.
Jesus.
This is the only. She was very religious. We do get a lot of religious terms here. This is the only photograph we have of the mansion. So again,
Power of the Holy Spirit.
Every Sunday.
she just heard Holy Spirit. So again, lots of religious terms here. But this was actually done by the Great Fire of 1861. So this is actually damaged. So this is destroyed. This is the only photograph we have of the mansion. Obviously, it turned off again. But every tour guide is going to tell you about a great fire of whatever year it happened in. I'm going to brag and say my fire is the biggest. You're standing on the green dot. That's where you are right now. This fire started at the Harris Teeter grocery store up the street, and then came down here, did the damage I just showed you, and then literally went to the other side of the peninsula going that way.
Right.
This was like $7 million worth of damage in 1861. So I did look up December 11th, 1861. That was the Wednesday I was looking for. So you guys kept hearing Sunday, so I was like, oh, maybe it was a Sunday. I don't know for sure. I wasn't here. So again, I got to look that stuff up. Let's get into the children. So I'm going to have you guys turn down your spirit boxes at this point, just for a few minutes so you can get the details. Because there's a lot going on with the rest of this. The fire stuff is picture pages. That's easy to view and listen. So, children, there's 4 of them total. So, first one I already told you about, Charles, signer of the Constitution, right? The next one was Thomas. So Thomas actually fought in a Revolutionary War battle, and your camera you can take a break with. Like, you can totally chill. Like, stop recording and just relax.
I'm not recording. Okay.
I didn't know if you still had it recording or not. But yeah, I just figured I'd give you a little break with it.
No worries.
So he fought in a Revolutionary War battle called the Battle of Camden. He was shot in his left leg and captured by the British. When he was released, he was left on a cane the rest of his days. Now, we didn't get anything relatable to Thomas while we were here, but these are the clues that I look for in the event that something does pop up. The next child is the one I told you not to poke the bear with, which none of us did. We all stayed together. So that's baby George. He doesn't have a grave. He doesn't have a headstone. His death certificate has the same month and year in the birth and death column. So we don't even know how old he was exactly. We know he's probably old enough to be christened and to be named just because we know his name. But that's pretty much it. So here's where it gets weird. It's a possibility, don't take this as gospel, that they would have mummified the baby and kept him here waiting for mom to pass to be buried with his mother. So again, those were practices back in the 1700s. I can't prove it because you can't Google mummied baby and not expect a phone call. Yeah, it was you. 9.1? Nice. We finally went above. We had a 10 earlier, right? Yeah, 10.4. So that's what the George thing is going to get even weirder here in just a moment when we start talking about Eliza's death. But the last child, her name was Harriet. She was the only daughter. She married in Horry. If you know anything about South Carolina, Myrtle Beach is in Horry County. So now you kind of have an idea of where she lived. That's 2.5 hours from here drive. Right. It wouldn't have been a 2.5 hour drive for her. Obviously, they did a lot of letter writing. if Harriet shows up here, we do get a lot of things about letter writing. So paper, pen, published, ink will show up. So again, it's very seldom that we get anything about Harriet because obviously she's going to be haunting her home up in the Myrtle Beach area. Eliza's death, let's get into that. So Eliza was 70 when she died in 1793. That's a long time to be living during colonial times. She died from what we know as breast cancer. They didn't know back in 1793 because there was no such thing as breast cancer because they didn't know what it was. She was going to Philadelphia for treatments for whatever they thought she had. That's where she died. That's where she's buried. Stories in a Cemetery, the tour, does not take you to actual cemeteries because you do not get a whole lot of activity in an actual gravesite. Reason being is you're not going to hang out near your grave when you're gone. You're going to go to your mansion 400 miles away. That's why we go to spaces like this. That's why Eliza's name popped up immediately as soon as we entered the space on my spirit box. And it happens often on different devices. 1793, that I told you she's buried in Philadelphia. That should answer two questions. Obviously, we're not going to go to actual cemeteries. The second question being baby George. They would have transported that baby, if my theory is true, all the way to Philadelphia by horse and carriage. Mummy baby in the back of it. So kind of keep that in the back of your brains too. A little creepy, but again, it was practice, religious practice.
Right.
Any guesses on the president, on who acted as the pallbearer? Any history buffs here? 1793? Going once, twice. Washington, at his own request, wanted to pay homage to her because her indigo helped get this country started. I want you to also keep in mind that Washington only had 13 governors. Pinckney families were all politicians. Washington's visit to Charleston, if you haven't heard about it yet, he did spend over a week here, and on his way in, he met with Eliza for a private breakfast first in Georgetown outside of the city. So Georgetown is about an hour from here for us on a drive. So he did that purposely so he can have a private breakfast and obviously a conversation with her. So it's not like he didn't know her. So it was a big deal when obviously he wanted to pay homage to her at her funeral in 1793. So again, can't make this stuff up. I will tell you, I did play a little subliminal trick on all of you. When we got here, I told Susan I was not going to be giving her questions like what color is George Washington's white horse. I do that purposely. I wanted to put George Washington in the back of your brain to see if you were going to be subject to subliminal messaging. You did not give me the right answer, so you passed with a fail. So good job. I do that on purpose. It's the only word trick I play. I like to know who I'm working with. So again,
okay. I was gonna guess Washington, but I didn't want to look stupid, so I didn't say anything.
No, again, guesses are out there. That's why I put it out there, because I kind of give you another opportunity, because Washington's in the back of your brain, because I put it there when we first got to the site. So I give you a second opportunity to be able to spit it back out of me. So again, I'm a wordsmith.
I told Washington too, and then I was like, I'm not going to say it because I'm probably completely off.
No, not at all. Most people will guess Adams. Most people. And it's usually the answer I get, and I usually like the wrong answers because that shows me you're not subject to subliminal messaging. So the fact that I said Lucas and you originally heard Luke right away, again, I have to question it because I don't have the recording. So again, I'm not going to question it at this point because you heard Luke, not Lucas. So again, that's why I kind of look for those things. Usually when I give those spirit boxes to teenagers, it's almost like they repeat everything I say. So I've learned to really withhold information on purpose to make sure everybody has a genuine experience. So again, we heard Luke, right? And then we had another phrase that popped up too, all of those religious terms, right?
Yep. Holy Spirit, and Jesus to me.
Was it Holy Spirit?
Yeah. Power of the Holy Spirit.
Yes, something like that.
Okay. You guys gave me like 6
and
pages
laughter.
out of this location.
Lots of laughter.
I got
That was a
laughter
clear
right
one.
now. So here's what's going to happen from here. We're going to actually go to another haunted location. We're going to go to Lodge Alley. It's about 3 blocks from here. Again, remember, I'm taking you to legitimately haunted locations. This is an intelligent ghost where we can ask questions and obviously get answers. We did get the answer fire, which I'm very excited about. And we didn't get an exact, like, hey, what year did that happen? But we don't know what's coming up on your recording that you just may have missed. So the date might actually
I'm sure
be
I'm
there.
missing a lot because it's going so fast and my brain is old.
I just listen to it every day. That's the only difference. I literally listen to different types of spirit boxes every day. That's really the only way I can find so much so quickly. So for every 5 minutes of that recording, I listen to 1 minute. If there's something in there, whether it's relevant or not, it will go in the list if I hear it clear enough. If I don't hear anything within that 1 minute, I go to the next, like, 5 minutes away. So when you guys get your word list, like of things that I found and phrases, it'll be where the marker is, and it'll be in quotes of what I actually heard, and it might be something silly. I might even put a little joke in there. You know, just because, hey, here's a little journey for you today. You know, something like that, because you hear every Journey song has that very, you know, prominent, you know, beginning, and we all know them because, you know, we're older than teenagers.
I kept on hearing like a
We're just gonna put
buzzing,
that
but I'm
out there.
hearing from your other earbud.
Oh.
What's that?
He kept on
hearing like a bzz, bzz.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was the camera at first. I'm like, wow.
So the word list is getting really weird. I'm going to tell you a few terms that are actually relative to our very last stop, which is about 3 blocks that way, which we're going to go down and around to be able to get to it. Those words, and they're all going to make sense later on: jack, digging, teach, and sea. Can you guys see where any of that's going?
Blackbird.
Some of it. We're going to be talking about pirates towards the end. Like, that's the big final hurrah. And it's a big joke for me because I don't even like pirates, but there's a reason why we talk about pirates on my tour. Again, I am a vampire guy through and through, but a lot of that is going to be definitely relative to the pirate story. it's so weird that it's coming up over here. Like,
Right.
last night it was weird because terms from here were showing up over there.
Ooh.
Like, a lot of relevant terms.
Someone's playing with you.
Yeah, it's like they know I'm out here.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know it was relevant, but a while the word Caribbean was loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Well, the Caribbean is actually relative here.
Okay.
So Eliza was actually born in Antigua. I want to say...
And that was before the 2022 Kia.
I want to go with anything above that 8.3 at this point.
Is it okay that it started?
Yes, so what it's doing is those files are giant. So
Okay.
basically it's just starting a new file because it's only
Okay.
going to go to 4 gigs.
That freaks me out.
Yeah, you're fine.
Wait, the footage, where'd
Everybody.
it go?
Nope, you're good.
Okay.
Perfectly good. I'm sorry, I should have...
Deceptions, I think it said.
Oh, it's usually your first instinct. Whatever you think it heard is what we're going to go with. Deception. And again, the cameras aren't always a great real-time event, but again, if we're not recording, if I don't put some hands on it, we're not going to capture anything. You guys can film each other. That'd be great. Super cute, right? Eliza, do you want to tell us what happened to your mansion? Tell us what actually happened here? Nice slow moving. You're doing a great job. You gotta get Cam to slow down. She's like, come over here. Come over here. She's so stoked. Look at her. You had no idea that she was coming?
She had no idea.
Yes. Good on you, man. Good on you. That's so cool. I love being the surprise. Do you want to try having a spirit box in your ear while you're handling that? Because I have another one just like that. It just won't record.
Let's do it.
Okay. Just because you're so stoked and you have a hoodie pocket, so you can almost keep it in your hoodie pocket.
There you go.
And keep an earbud in and play with the volume back and forth. So that's actually not that Susan's doing a bad job, but you're doing like the easy work. Let's get another one.
Disaster.
Like that one. What kind of disaster was it, Eliza? So to help you out, I will undo the twist tie. I buy these in bulk. I don't want them back. Earwax is so gross. So,
I know the camera's right there, so I don't
Sure,
want to say
sure.
anything because I know it's gonna pick up only my voice.
your volume button is right here. It's the wheel, so you can turn it up and down as you
Okay.
want. There's your earbud. So slide one of those in, and then you can Yeah, anything above 8 at this point. Let's escalate it so that way I don't have to write down a trillion numbers. Again, you're listening for radio stations. It's all of that little mess that you're hearing. Look at her wandering by herself. See, she was supposed to be the scared one.
What?
I said, look at her wandering by herself. She's supposed to be the scared one, or not knowing anything that's going on. It's right next to you, Yolanda.
Thank you, Eliza, for letting us be here. Fire.
That's it. You had disaster, you got the direct answer.
What'd you say, fire?
Fire.
What happened with the fire?
What year did that fire happen, Eliza? Can you give us the exact year, please?
Sunday night.
If the date was a Sunday,
I just got Sunday too.
I'm going to look up to see if it was
Manage
a Sunday.
the team.
That can still be related to Big
Yeah.
John. That happens all the time. I am going to shit a brick. If
Sunday
that
night
date
after
is a
church.
Sunday night.
You're
I know the
coming back
exact
from
date.
church. Victim.
No, Wednesday.
What happened on Sunday, Eliza?
Announcement.
It smells good out here, whatever it is. Another minute just so she can see if she can pick up anything else. She reviewed it or something. It just covers.
The summer. And a lot of people, and just laughter, continuous. It was ha 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 ha, like long laughter.
Okay. I've gotten laughter here as a disembodied voice in the past. Like it went over 5 different radio stations. Like was not radio chatter kind of mentality. So it's a possibility. But yours is not recording. So I can't verify. Crazy. She did hear urgent announcement and then you get a lot of laughter. So I can look in to see what some of the dates are that I know specific about this location and see if it actually was a Sunday night, like birthdays, death days, that kind of thing, and see if something actually occurred that way.
I did ask what happened on Sunday.
There was something before it, but I couldn't because it was kind of equal opportunity employer.
Ending of certain slave lords. Diversity rules, right?
Emotional.
Emotional came up on my word list too.
Big 3.
How much? It's over there.
sorrow.
A lot of vague stuff going on here. So I'm going to call it at this point. So Floyd, go ahead and stop your video. We're going to give your hands a break. So go ahead and hit the square and kind of give it a second. It'll turn to a circle. Very interesting. I also wanted to tell you that I actually have a trigger object in my bag that I basically didn't like pull it out tonight. I wanted to see if it was going to be just as effective in my bag. Let's go ahead and pull in a little bit this way. I don't feel like I'm screaming at you guys. I have here a set of indigo seeds that actually create blue dye. So again, I want to say
7.8.
7.8. Nice. I don't want to say that I forgot that it was in my bag to be able to pull it out, but it was one of those things on the way down here. I'm like, I have a smaller group. I'm just going to leave it in and see what happens. But yeah, this thing took forever to get here. Like I ordered it like 2 months ago, and it finally came in. So again, it's been an interesting thing with the new spirit box that I've been using. We don't have it out tonight because it doesn't record, but it is a very interesting type of spirit box. So fire is the right answer of what actually happened to the mansion. So let's get into that first. You can definitely, no, we'll leave your REM pod on because it's not actually going off right now. So if it gets too distracting where it's just like, oh my God, look at all these readings, I'll probably have you shut it off. But first thing I'd like to do is at least show you what Eliza looks like.
You want to hear something funny? You mentioned about Kia earlier. Did you mention about a car dealership?
Yeah.
2022 Kia. Like I was listening to the radio.
That's part of the reason why I do that, because I know that's going to come through loud and clear. Because I listen to that recording every single day. So every morning, this is the first thing I do with my first cup of coffee, is that I'm listening to the recorded spirit box, so that way I can start getting everything going and putting all the clues together. But yeah, but you did hear 2022, right? 2022
Kia, just like that.
Interesting. This is Eliza Lucas Pinckney. So obviously Lucas was the maiden name we were looking for. That's why I need the secondary clues of what's actually going on. So the son and the nephew, they were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a pretty big deal for us, but I hate politics more than you. So let's move on. I have to bring it up. It's important. Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards. So if we're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, which she's already heard the word wedding, which is very common in the word marriage. It's not going.
Presenting. I heard presenting.
Presenting. I am presenting Eliza. Yeah, she's amazing. But anyway, it's not going to be like 12 or 14 if we ask her how old she was. It's going to be young according to today's standards. So again, she came from colonial times. 12 and 14 was pretty common. So I know it sounds weird and gross, but it is what it is. The reason I bring this up is because Charles, her husband, was over double her age when they got married. So again, if we ask how old they were when they got married, we might hear either number or how long they were married. That's pretty common too. But let's talk about Eliza and why she got married. Her father, over in England, thought he was dying. The father was trying to bring all of his children home one last time so he could see them. Eliza didn't think he was dying, so she stayed put. It's 1744. He didn't marry anybody for a green card or citizenship. We're not even a country yet. So she actually married Charles for love and stayed put to prove her point. Now, her dad didn't die right away, so Eliza was correct. Apologetically, her father starts sending her gifts to this vase. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. If you've been in town for more than an hour, you've seen the word indigo somewhere, I promise. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. That's how we use it today. So that's what still makes our blue jeans blue now. Now, when she got it, she didn't know what to do with it. So she had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated in our weird temperatures, because it does get pretty cold here and it can get super, super hot. So to keep it going all year round, she learned, then moved it to another plantation they owned in Mount Pleasant. Calls her father and says, rice plantations are going downhill, we can make a killing with the indigo. Now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. Pretty big deal. But you guys are all here for the weird stuff, so let's get into that. That's Eliza's business. Let's get into the weird facts about her. Eliza was the second wife named Eliza, back-to-back from Charles, same year. First wife Eliza dies. 5 months later, he marries the one that plants the indigo. Ironically, both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. If you want to find out which Eliza we're dealing with, ask her maiden name. And when I say like we're going to be asking questions, we have several points of audio. Watch, that's the only way in and out the vehicles, and we're going to be acting casual on this point. So with that said, I have an audio obviously here, and then your audio isn't super great, but at least we have something there, and we have a point of audio over there. So we can ask questions, and it can go to the spirit box, my audio, or either camera's audio. We never know where it's going to go. That's why I like to run so many different spirit boxes at the same time. So where was it? Oh, the mansion. It's obviously not here anymore. We can ask what happened to it. And then, of course, if we get an answer, then we can ask when that happened. Kind of giving you a clue that it was a tragedy. So kind of keep that in mind. Eliza's children, I told you there's at least one. Yes, there are more. We can ask how many, and then we can ask what their names are. But that's about it. The reason being is there's a tragedy among those kids, and we don't want to poke the bear. Because if we do, all activity will stop. So we might actually have some readings going on right now.
Oh yeah, 2.6.
2.6.
But then 0.
That's why they call it ghost hunting. They don't stay still.
Okay.
So you're going to see little spikes like that all the time. Usually when I start going with the questions is usually when it starts to spike up a little bit. So where was it? Oh, the kids we already talked about. So Eliza's death is where she's really open. We can ask her how old she was when she died. We can ask what she died from, where she's buried, and what U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. If that doesn't tell you how important that woman was, I don't know what will. Notice that all of the questions I just gave us are non-yes or no questions. So again, we're looking for very specific answers. We've already heard the term wedding, which kind of excites me. That's kind of a vague clue, but at least it's a clue because she knows I'm about to ask about her marriage and how old she was. So again, if we get the actual numbers, I'll be super stoked that both clues are linked together. So, have we heard anything before I check the word list? Nothing at all?
Nothing, no. I mean, yes, but nothing like.
Yeah, but I'm withholding information, remember?
I heard all due respect.
Okay.
A lot of it is music, but I can't. It's like so.
Yeah. It's very quick. It's very quick. I like all
Right.
due respect, though. It's pretty vague, but it definitely. When did you hear that? Just now, or was
No, like maybe a minute ago. I didn't want to interrupt you.
that? No, I want you guys to interrupt me. So far we have 2.6 out of yours, right? Check the word list to kind of see where we're at with things. Basically, we need to be following you because you're going to know where the hotspots are. So let's talk about your REM pod for a moment. Go ahead and pull up your antenna. Flip the device. Oh, we got it. Oh, look at that. You see it?
Oh.
We have Eliza's name has already popped up. So, and the word pride right after that.
Wow.
How long have we been here? 3 minutes? Because the word Africa showed up at 9, this says 9:20, it's 9:27 right now. So again, I told you the slave quarters were in the back. Kind of a vague relation. I'm going to see if something else pops up around that because I normally can't, I can't prove anything about the slaves other than where they lived back here. I can't prove names or what their jobs were or anything like that because there's no records. But if something else pops up, I'll be pretty impressed, like if it actually gives me the word slave or servant or any of those kind of terms out of either spirit box that we're actually using. But I'm obviously excited about, this is me excited, so in case you guys couldn't tell. Eliza and pride showing up because Eliza was a very proud woman. But again, I'm going to put pride as kind of a vague term, but the name Eliza showing up is obviously something very definitive. So we'll kind of see what's going on. So turn the device around. There's a little flap on the back. You're going to lift it up this way. There's two little white, nope, you want to keep looking at the back? There's two little white buttons back there. The one on the right is the one that you want. So go ahead and click it into the device. There you go, perfect. Now flip it around slowly, because it's super bright. You just had an 8.3, I saw that. Now, that's going off based on your movement. So that's kind of a false positive. We want to kind of try to get rid of those. So look, here's how we get rid of them. Whenever it's going to go off based on your movement, there's a way to reset it. There's 4 buttons where your thumb is going down the spine there. You need the bottom one. So kind of grip your thumb right on the bottom one and click it every time it goes off. If it goes back to the same color after you stop and remain still, obviously we've debunked that it's not coming from your motions. Go ahead and click it now. Perfect. Okay. So you kind of see where I'm going with that. We want to try to get rid of all of those. You just moved again. No, you're fine. I want you to move. I'm not going to have you stay still all night long. But it's going to go off with your movements. Okay. Because we're not setting it on a table and walking away. Right. But basically what happened is we just created another EMF field around this antenna, a different style, so it's not being measured on your red screen. So they work independently. It's not going to measure the other one. You might have a reading here and not here and vice versa. I also like to use the colors as kind of a call and answer. If you notice, there's different colors in between there. I like to use blue and purples. You see all the different colors in there? Yeah. Blues and purples mean that they don't have to touch it and make it go red. Okay. That just means, hey, Eliza, can you make this box go to blue? And if we get a direct answer, we reset it and ask again. If we get the same answer, try a different color. kind of thing, just to prove what we actually have going on. So you got an 8.3, which I've already written down. How's the camera work going? Is that camera still working? Is still running? Good. Obviously yours is still running. I know that thing's fantastic. So it starts to lock up and freeze in an hour. That's why we stopped it earlier before that. But that's kind of crazy readings you have going on there. Any other numbers popping up on your screen?
Just 2.1.
2.1. So
Thank you for being a friend.
wow. That was from a TV show.
Yeah.
Golden Rules.
The Golden Girls.
Wow. All just showed our ages right there.
Is that the original entrance?
It is not. So
Where would the entrance have been?
the entrance actually would have been slightly left of that. This wall was from a restaurant that was here in the early 2000s called Molly Darcy's. So again, what we're looking at right now, they've never done an archaeological dig here, so there's nothing that should be making this device go off. But we do capture a lot of spirit box work here, and we get a lot of the motion work here as well. So I've seen this particular device go, and it was just last week, go all the way to 214 milligauss. What does that mean for you? Your television set gives off about 40 to 60 milligauss behind your TV where all the wires are. Your microwave running on high, and you standing next to it is about 150. This gave me a 214. Yeah, it was nuts.
That's a lot of.
That's like, it's dangerous. And the person using it was fine. Like, I stood back just because I have epilepsy and I don't need anything altering things because I can't have that effect. But again, I kept checking in with him. He was perfectly fine. We only had that one super spike and then it went away. I double checked to make sure he knew it wasn't 21.4, but he was like, no, it was a 214 point something. He's like, there were 4 digits on the screen. So I checked the settings to make sure it wasn't something he may have hit, just to double check. And like, again, I've never seen it go that high. The highest I'd ever seen it go was 198. So my assumption was that it only went to 200.
Patience.
Oh, yes, patience is definitely good. See, you're getting the hang of it. You're gonna get better. But we're gonna follow you. So let's go find a hot spot.
Right in the middle of the forehead.
So forehead is like a weird term you would hear on the radio. So that's what I'm focused on right now. Do I know anything about the forehead and the pinkies? I don't. But I don't know everything there is to know about the pinkies. So it's a matter of, I got to do a lot of research. Yep. Yeah, let's see what numbers you can actually pop up. We're going to stick with it.
I'm going to push you into a dark corner and scream. I just try not to go on the
if you just want to kind of shimmy it off to the side while you guys are, filming the bar, but you don't need to be the YouTuber. So people get a little weirded out. They don't know what the hell we're doing. But anyway, this was Big John's bar. He used to sit in the back of the bar and tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys come in, they're not old enough to drink. So he has the bartender throw them out, and they leave pretty pissed off. They come back the next night, and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on. He slams down his beer. He gets up. He goes over and just starts beating the hell out of these guys, just pounding them right into the floor. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets grazed in the neck, and the bullet lands behind him in the wall in the front of the bar. John gets up, after being shot, no less, goes back to the bar, tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor, and ambulance. So, the irony of the story is you don't mess with Big John, you can get shot and still kick your ass. The second moral of the story is you guys normally think of a haunting as somebody that's died in this place. This did not occur here. So what's haunting the place? The bullet hole. It's allegedly still here. So people that tend to, even if the new renovation of Big John's that we're now looking at filled it in, Big John's blood is still here. So people that tend to sit in the front of this bar will get headaches, nausea, dizziness, that kind of thing. Really light symptoms. This is kind of your heated warning. We're going to be ghost hunting tonight, looking for this stuff. I don't know how it's going to affect you. I don't know what's going to happen tonight. The ghosts are not on the payroll. So I will tell you, in the 3.5 years I've been giving this tour, I've yet to have a night where something didn't happen. So, I mean, not meaning somebody got hurt, but actual evidence. But do I know how it's going to affect you? I don't. So if you start to feel any of those symptoms, I need to know immediately so we can move the whole group and get that person to safety. Is that fair?
Yep.
That's the headache, nausea, dizziness, pounding of the chest. That happens all the time too. So again, let's just be safe about it. No reason to be stupid. So, you guys taking any other Charleston history tours?
No.
Yes.
Okay, so yeses and no's. So every tour will tell you about the big earthquake of 1886, right? So this is allegedly where the first death occurred from, that earthquake. The earthquake is an anomaly for us because this is the East Coast. We're not supposed to have earthquakes. Right. So a piece of the mantle that you see in the middle of the building also wraps around the front. A piece of it broke off during the earthquake, struck somebody in the back of the head, and apparently it killed them, and they say you could see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. I say apparently and allegedly a lot with that story because I don't have any proof. It's just a great segue so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour, as I brought it up again. So that's the whole reason why I tell that story, is so that there's like, oh my god, I get sick, what do I sign up? Let's go something. What do you say, Cammy? You ready? She's like, yes, I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Oh, he thought it goes.
Give it to it out of it.
Told you I wouldn't mess with it. So, welcome to the Big Red Barn Lot. I want you guys to think of your entire time with me as kind of a ghost hunting 101. So, you're in luck, Yolanda, because I keep things nice and simple, and we're going to progress throughout the night. So, this space is where we keep the horses for your carriage rides. So, in the summertime, you can definitely smell them. Well, you guys can. I'm pretty much immune to it. But anyway, I'm down here every day. The history here is really simple. So, I did it that way on purpose because when I have my groups of 10, it gives me a chance to show 10 people how to use 10 different devices. So, the history here. This is where we kept horses that used to deliver milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. Whenever I'm giving you the history of a location, I will slow down on keywords specifically for the spirit boxes, just because, I mean, we have two of them in play tonight, the one I'm using and then the one Susan's using, but this way she kind of has a gist on what she's listening for. For example, Big John's, the keywords you should have been listening for were 47, New York, Big John's, anything relatable to a bar. So those are the things that I would be looking for. In this space, I said the words delivery, milk, and eggs. So let's talk about those spirit boxes. So spirit boxes, because you guys are going to be getting the audio back tomorrow morning, and that way you guys know what you're listening for. This is not a Ouija board. This is not television. This is not, is somebody here? Right? Because that's what everybody wants to ask. If somebody answers no, that means somebody's here. So we don't ask yes and no questions all night long. Now with us, being a group of 5 tonight, we're probably going to be sticking together. I don't see us spreading apart. When I normally have my groups of 10, I say spread out, let's have some fun. We're probably not going to do that tonight. We're going to stick together. So that way we can all ask questions together, and Susan's going to spit out the answers. So with questions in a space like this, which I'm just going to put it out there, I would normally tell my folks, let's ask questions like something we already know the answer to, just so we can get used to what we're listening for. If somebody's here, tell me what color the Big Red Barn is. Now obviously, we're going to be looking, because I have a word list, and listening for the color red.
Right.
However, the DJs and song lyrics might not have the word red in a vocabulary to be able to answer back. Fire truck, blood, heart. Those 3 things are specifically red. I would take that as an answer. However, most of the night, if something is going on, I want something else to kind of verify it, unless it's the direct answer of what I just told you. For example, let's say I have the word art shows up on my word list, and Susan hears the number 40. Neither one of those terms mean anything by themselves. Put them together, Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. Do you see where I have to put these clues together? So again, normally I like to have lots of spirit boxes going. But again, with a group of 4 and testing on a new camera, we're kind of trimming things up a little bit. So a lot of these stories tonight are going to have people with the same names. Lots of Charleses and Georges. We're talking 17 and 1800s. So just kind of expect that. That's okay. Let's see what else pops up with it to be able to verify it. Cameras, go ahead and point them both at me. Let's kind of go through these. So with yours, obviously I would say, I'm looking for things outside the circle, but that's not there anymore. So for yours specifically, you're really looking for anomalies to be able to move through there. I would, kind of debunk a lot of bugs when I'm going through the video, and I do a lot of freeze frame to see the pattern, how big is it, how fast did it move, those kind of things. If I see something nice and slow and big moving through, I'm going to freeze frame it frame by frame and give you still shots. So yours is really easy, just because you're just a point and shoot all night long. Go ahead and turn around so you can actually turn the camera around so you can see the front of it. I want you to see how many LEDs are actually on this thing. No, I want you to. Here, I'll hold it. How about that? So we have 4 going on right here, 2, so we're up to 6, and then 4 more. So that's why your whole screen is purple. So any event somebody gets too close, I mean, I used to tell people, go ahead and just turn this short range one off, but then you still got these 4 working for you. It's hard to find a switch, so we're just going to keep all 10 running and kind of see how things go. Your battery will not die, because I'm sure you noticed that there's a battery pack like strapped on there pretty good. I got tired of changing batteries halfway through the tour, so you're just a point and shoot. As far as yours goes, Floyd, you're going to try to do 2 things for us tonight. You're going to try to keep one of us in view. You're going to not shoot other people if possible, especially if they're going to their vehicles. So we'll talk about that in a second. But the reason why is because we're going to be the warmest thing out here. It gives us an array of color in that screen. The other thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out of view. The reason being is because the blue dot will default to the blue sky, or the empty sky, because it's looking for a surface, and there's not one there. So again, it'll detract from that. In some of those spaces, the sky is going to be impossible to keep out of view. Just try to do your best.
Okay.
Now, both cameras, just so you know, I might do an Andy's coming kind of mentality, because somebody might be going to their vehicle. You're basically going to be playing with a cell phone. You're going to point yours straight to the ground. So again, people don't like to be filmed. They don't like the cars be filmed. Obviously, I've been screamed at by plenty of people, and I don't like to be screamed at by people that I don't know. So they don't know what you guys are doing, but we're going to have some fun. If I was a car thief, Floyd's camera would be the first thing I would buy, just because I know exactly how long these cars have been here based on its heat signature. So again, it's a beautiful tool, and I actually use it for more than just ghost hunting. Like, I fixed my dryer with it one day, and like trying to find where the leak was. So very cool stuff to do. Are we getting the gist of how all of our devices work? We're going to talk about your REM pod at the next stage, just because it's more pertinent over there. So have you had any readings come up at all?
No.
Nothing at all? All right, so let me take a look at the word list real quick before we move on. Yeah, I got nothing. So again, 80% of this is bullshit. So again, it's always that one-off. So let's go to the next spot and actually get much deeper history than combing and football players. That's what you guys came for, right? You don't want to hear about football players. Well, you love this 2 hours and we only go half a mile. This guy talks way too much in one spot.
I'm hearing. I'm hearing words and.
What words are you hearing?
I heard the word wedding. I heard a bunch of words.
Okay, wedding is good.
I'm trying to listen to you and listen at the same time.
Oh, were you going on your own?
I just thought maybe something else.
Alright, so welcome to another beautiful spot of Charleston, everybody. You're in a parking lot. If you guys don't know where to park by the time I'm done with you, I can't help you. I'm sorry. So this space obviously used to be something, so let's get into it. Spirit box, because I normally say spirit box teams. I'm not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the red box.
Okay.
I'm going to withhold information on purpose, so that way everybody kind of has a genuine experience. So with only one spirit box truly in play tonight, which is very odd for me, it's going to be very interesting to see what you're hearing. Just because that is not an easy job that Susan has. If you've never listened to a spirit box, it is very difficult. I'm asking her to do something with her senses that she's probably never done before. So, very interesting. So where are we? This used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney mansion. And actually sat in the front of this space. I like to kind of give you the layout first before we dive in. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant and came all the way across to where we're standing over here.
Somerville.
Yeah, that's local. We're in a discount town. Just like the word Charleston. Don't tell me the word Charleston.
Oh, okay.
You're listening to Charleston radio stations. It's going to pop up.
Oh.
In the back of the space were the servant quarters, servant slave quarters for the home. Just so you know, and kind of what the layout of the space is. So who the heck were these people? Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. There's scoreboard. So I want to try to run this all night long. So I've already started it. Basically, you just got to hold it and point it in the right directions. So also keep in mind, if you guys want to intermingle your devices between your parties, if you guys want to switch up, by all means do so. Cammy's like, nope, I'm not giving this one up. So the next camera, which is usually the first device that I bring out, this is thermal imaging. So why would I want thermal imaging in a ghost hunt?
Oh, because ghosts usually give off cold.
Exactly. We are literally looking for cold spots. So this is the real deal. This is a FLIR attachment. So what does that mean for you? That is basically what firemen use to try to help save people. So they will keep this little attachment handy so that way they can plug it into their phone, and when there is a fire, they can actually see body heat on the other side of an actual fire. So again, I wanted the real deal for this. This is not a phone app, so quick demo with this guy. So get it started first. You should be able to see me in that picture. I'm the red, orange, and yellow guy, so I'll move around a minute. Sorry, Floyd, but that means I'm the hottest thing inside the picture. Right. It's a great bridal party joke. It works every time. But literally, we're looking for blue and black spots to start moving on their own or taking shape on their own. So with this, like this guy is super cool. Do I capture something with this every night? I don't. However, if we're not recording, we won't. So it's just that simple. I will tell you I capture about 4 to 6 very solid pieces of this every single year that I've been using it. So it's been about 4 or 5 years now. But this year alone, I've already caught 2, like very specific body shapes in blue. Darkest part on the person is the face. Like it's crazy stuff. So again, this is a pretty unique type experience just to be able to use this video camera itself. But I think what's weird is I'm going to put both video cameras in the same party. And you already seem like you're kind of hip to this technology. So I'm like, yeah, let me go with the shot. That's a whole crew tonight.
Yeah. Actually, they've been riding around.
I will tell you, when you guys get your video back from this, there is a blue dot that's bouncing around the screen. It's giving you the coldest spot in the frame at that moment. I have it set up that way on purpose. It's going to help direct your eye when you're watching the video. The great thing about both of these videos is they're going to go to YouTube. So that way you can watch them however you want to. On your TV, your phone, your tablets, your computers, whatever you want to. So again, when they're on a much bigger screen, like I watch them on a pretty large screen. Even in real time, like sometimes it can be difficult to actually see things in real time, especially since we don't want to stop the recording and go back and double check. Like we want to keep moving on. So you're going to hold that horizontal all night long. You can treat it just like a cell phone. It is a construction phone, so it can take a little bit of, a little bit of damage. So when I say we're going to do a few starts and stops with yours, only because the software sucks for that program. So if we record for too long, we lose all footage, and I don't want to do that. So I will give you that starts and stops. When we start it, make sure you're in that horizontal position with the wiring to your left before you hit that start button again. Spirit boxes. I'm just going to tell you, just for your sheer excitement, I actually use, when I have a full team out here, we use 5 different types of spirit boxes, and they all do something a little bit different. But for the sake of the size of our group, I'm going to go after everything that records. So with this particular spirit box, if you're unfamiliar with them,
I am unfamiliar with everything.
This is going to sweep through FM radio stations at a very quick rate. On TV shows, it's normally just white noise kind of stuff, and then your host will tell you the bullshit he thinks he heard and put it on the middle of the screen for you to try to convince you of the same thing. We're going to be doing this in real time. So this one, now I will tell you that the voices they think they hear in real time, most of them, they have to tell you what it says in order for you to say, oh, I can hear that.
Understand it.
Yeah. Those are like Class B to Class C, possibly even Class G, which is garbage. So that's basically what we call them in here. So I usually only go after Class A when it comes to disembodied EVPs like that, coming through white noise only. So I slowed these down. First off, none of you are used to listening to white noise for 2 hours at a time. So I want the radio chatter to come through.
Well, the salon is white noise. 8 hours at a time.
So with these being slowed down, the radio chatter is going to come through. I want it to come through. So I want Susan to be able to tell me whatever DJ song lyric or commercial she hears. So if she hears Buy a Kia Today, I want to know that she heard Buy a Kia Today. I'm going to be writing all of what you hear down in real time. However, this one is going to record the entire session for us. In fact, it's already recording right now. You will get the entire recording back tomorrow morning with about 15 to 20 more markers on top of whatever Susan heard in real time. If it's relevant, I will tell you why, based on the location of where we are, a person in history we're discussing, or even something going on with one of you, because sometimes you people bring folks with you. And then I will always give you a backlink to be able to verify that information like I mentioned earlier. So again, if it's relatable to Big John's, I'm going to give you the backlink to be able to verify that for you. You're going to have an earbud in. Are you comfortable with that? Okay. So you're going to have to untie the earbuds, and then your volume button is right here. It's a wheel. So you'll control the volume however you want to. You cannot mess with the recording because it records even and it does not record outside noise. So again, you listen to it at will, whatever you want to. Most people just keep one earbud in so that way you can hear me too and just play with the volume. And I don't want earbuds back here. Earwax is gross. No offense. And to keep you busy and occupied.
And the easiest, I hope.
I'm going to give you my multitask.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
You'll be fine. This is an easy one. So I will tell you that for those of you that watch the TV shows, these are pretty common, right? You guys have seen these before. K2 meters, little blinky lights. So this is the upgraded version. It's supposed to buzz when it actually goes off. You can't hear it outside, so the extra $10 was a waste. That was, and I normally hand that to the kids at the tour, just so you guys know. I like to point that out first because this is a millimeter. So this is going to measure the same type. It's going to measure electromagnetic fields. So any type of cell phone signal, wiring, buildings, that kind of thing, it's going to pick up on some of those signals. Anything above a 2.5 on the big numbers, I want to know what's going on. We're going to debunk first and kind of see what's going on. But again, the 2.5 specifically is because that's the second green dot on that device I just put back in my bag. So normally when I have them both out, I can kind of compare and see what's actually happening. The bottom number is ambient temperature being measured by this yellow probe. In the event Floyd finds something on his camera, you and I can prove it or debunk it just by going to find that cold spot, seeing if it's coming from something man-made. The last thing that it has, and we don't always use this because it can be distracting for me at least. This is what we call a motion meter or REM pod. So I might say, let's go ahead and turn off that motion meter, just because we're not used to the lingo, which is perfectly fine. If something gets close to that antenna, it's going to go off. Right now, it's probably getting a little bit of signal from the wiring that's underneath our sidewalks, but essentially, if something gets close, it's going to go off. The closer it gets, obviously, the higher the pitch, and we have different colors in there. Notice I have it pointed down because it's super bright. So I'm going to turn that part off. We'll talk more about that at our first location. All you have to do is let me know what numbers pop up there above 2.5.
This is my
For me, I'm going to be using a different type of spirit box altogether. So this one is going to work like an ovulus that you guys see on television. So an ovulus basically spits out words. It must have just slipped out of it. There we go. And go ahead and hit the circle. You got it. Good to go. So basically it's going to spit out words in the center of the screen from time to time. So this is a phone app. So there are over 9,000 terms in this dictionary. Now an ovulus on television, what they actually use for ghost hunting, only has 2,048. Almost 5 times that amount anywhere. So it's going to save all those words to a list.
Right.
You've probably seen this app before. Now, this actually gave us 103 terms last night. What's funny is one of the guests said, that's going to give us 103 terms. I'm like, there's no way. He guessed it on the dot. So I'm going to clear out last night and start us off fresh. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. This is a phone app. 80% of this is going to be bullshit. It's not going to mean anything. So it's the other 5 to 20% that's going to be relevant to our location, the person, one of us. So same principle. So I'm going to just keep this in my back pocket, pull it out from time to time, kind of see where we're at with things. I do love this because it gives me timestamps. If something does come up that's relevant, I know where to listen to the regular audio, and I know where to watch the videos. So that way I can kind of tie things up and kind of see.
Am I supposed to hear, like, if it is an extra, like a spirit? Does it sound like a voice? Because this has a lot of nonsense going on here.
Yeah.
I want you to listen for the radio. We're using the radio for them to convey messages back.
Okay.
If you happen to find a disembodied voice in real time, which is super rare, like meaning it's going to sound like going over many radio stations, over all those clicks, those are hard to come by. Now, if the DJ says, buy it now, or let's listen in, I want to know that you heard buy it now and let's listen in. Because one of those words might be a key word to where we are.
Okay, got it.
See where I'm going?
Yes.
Okay. So if this is, welcome to Big John's, obviously it's a relevant term because we're next to Big John's.
Right, okay.
We're going to talk more about that at the first stop.
Do our cell phones do anything with this? Like, are we okay to leave them on, or should
You're
we?
perfectly fine to leave them on. I actually encourage you guys to take pictures throughout the night. So that way,
Don't take pictures.
in the event you guys actually capture something and you want me to check it out, my wife actually does all of the photography and graphic design work for the company. So we can always dive into things, prove things, debunk things. Her day job used to be where she was the cell phone manager for Best Buy, and she went to school for photography and graphic design. So again, she knows pretty much every cell phone camera out there. So if I send her something, I need to know what kind of camera phone you have, so that way she can tell me what's going on with it.
Right.
So let's talk about why we started here. Questions, comments, or concerns so far? You guys are gonna be an easy group. So, Big John's, that's why we're here. It's haunted, of course it is. So, it's the reason why I like to, I'm also going to stay out of the way of the other tours. We're probably not going to run into the other tours on a Sunday night, but just know that if we do, they might be in large groups of 20. We just stay out of their way. We're hunting, we're telling stories, and moving on. So, Big John's. This place used to be owned by a football player, 1947 New York Giants player, Big John Kennedy. I will also tell, because both of you have the cameras, people do not like...
The building just turned blue.
People do not like to be filmed, and they don't like their cars to be filmed.